welcome today's speaker on Wednesday Wisdom, that is Dr. Shilpi Sahoo, the co-founder and chairperson of Sai International Education Group. Thank you, Dr. Sahoo, for joining us today on PW Business World, PW Education Wednesday Wisdom Talk that we have every Wednesday.
Thank you so much, Vasudha, for having me here. Good evening, Vasudha, and good evening, the entire team of Business World. I'm humbled and privileged to be a part of this program. I know the stellar reputation of your channel, and I'm really delighted and excited to be a part of this program. Thank you.
Yes, we're delighted to have you too, and on such an auspicious day today, the day before Diwali. It's really, I think things work out in a certain way sometimes. But I want to begin by asking you, how have the last 18 months been for you, both professionally and also personally?
Right. So, let me answer this question in two parts, Vasudha, personally and professionally, because I'm sure it has been very different for each of us on these two fronts. Now, this year 2020 will be remembered by each one of us, which has given us the experience of not only a biggest crisis, but also made us learn how to handle crisis and forced us to train ourselves on the survival instincts. We had taken life for granted, and this pandemic shook all of us. It did not differentiate between the rich or the poor, and money, power, nor position had any meaning for it. We became conscious of two key essentials, and we have to be conscious of these two essentials, being the health and education. If health is all right, you can survive. And if education is there, you can progress. Now, at a personal level, it was a huge loss and an irreparable loss to me, my family, and our institutions by losing our founder chairman, Dr. Sahoo, who was not only an educator but a great visionary. He brought a revolution in education in the state of Odisha. His loss has created a vacuum, not only in our institution, but in the education sector of our state. Now, professionally, it was a period of learning and innovation for every school, faculty, staff, and students. This learning will benefit not only us, but also our future generations. In 2020, 1.5 billion students in 188 countries were locked out of their schools. Students everywhere have been faced with schools that are open one day and closed the next, causing massive disruption to their learning. Many education systems are still struggling to ensure learning continuity. Blended learning is the future of schooling now. Now, this futuristic approach has given a new dimension to school learning. This has brought a learning innovation which no school has yet thought about. At Sai International, with the challenging situation of the pandemic and reopening of schools seeming somewhat distant, we had the opportunity to explore newer and better processes. Our slogan was, the buildings might be closed, but the school is still open. True to this vision, we started a blended learning platform, Sai Homeschool 1.0, and thereby upgrading it to Sai Homeschool 2.0, embedding multiple state-of-the-art features. One of the key features is Lightboard concept. All the classes are now recorded using the Lightboard technology, and this tech infrastructure has enabled high-quality visual demonstrations and animations, helping children comprehend each lesson with much greater clarity. Now, secondly, while schools across the world simply resorted to Zoom to provide academic lessons to students, we created a fully virtual platform to provide 360-degree holistic learning even during the pandemic. We launched Sai Cloud School, a blend of online teaching, online activities, online assessment, and much more. Apart from just academics, every single extracurricular activity, ranging from sports to music, art, and dance, was provided virtually. Sai is known to conduct some of the biggest K-12 events in the country, ranging from SciTech, which is one of India's largest K-12 Science and Tech Fest, to Sai MUN, one of Eastern India's largest Model United Nations, with participation from 30 plus countries, and Sai Unwind, which was again India's largest student-run cultural fest. To ensure that the current students were not devoid of these opportunities, we created multiple virtual platforms beyond imagination to deliver each of these events online during COVID. But above all, we took this opportunity to get closer to our parents and students and understand them even better than before. This was a difficult time for each of our stakeholders, and hence we ensured that we communicated with them even more than we did pre-pandemic. Now, frequent Zoom meetings by the senior management with parents, the Chairman Speak series weekly with students of different age groups, and alumni talk shows were some of the many initiatives taken in this regard. Thank you.
Thank you for explaining that so well. Actually, it's really interesting that you kind of talked about all these different aspects in which student life was affected. Because when we talk about students, obviously there's different level of students. We have the primary education, which cannot be, you can't change much about it. In higher education, they're having different issues, of course. Because there are edtech companies, there are professional courses. There's a option that they're dealing with something completely different. For primary education, we cannot negotiate with. We need to absolutely. We need our institute to step up the way you kind of speaking that you have. So can you? I'm sorry, Dr. Batra has also joined. Welcome, Dr. Batra. How are you?
Good evening, Dr. Batra.
Welcome, Dr. Shilpi Sahoo. Welcome to all the people logged in, and very happy Diwali, a choti happy Diwali. We're talking in the backdrop of the festivities that are in the air. I know they're a little somber because we're doing it after Corona, but thank you, and go on, Vasudha.
I said that what were some things that are unique to maybe just primary education and not higher education or the types of education forms that you had to keep in mind when you were transitioning to this online school?
Right. So, we had, I'll tell you about the primary education. We have Sai Angan, which is India's largest play school. And that's one of India's largest play school, yes. And, it's as for us. Now, I'll tell you, we had different resources like, this... So what happened, Sai International has incorporated the timeless values of the Guru Sishya Parampara. Now, education is the foundation on which the progress of a nation depends. Now, Dr. Sahoo's vision, Dr. Vijay Kumar Sahoo's vision to create a globally benchmark school where every child is happy and where learning takes place in a joyful environment has taken meaningful shape over the last 13 years. And at Sai, we focus on the holistic development of body, mind, and soul of the children, especially the social, emotional, physical, and cognitive development of the child. We nurture the uniqueness of each child and create thought leaders of tomorrow who can transform the society. We have created a positive and stimulating environment for the children where they can dream, learn, and create. And our mission is to create inspired, confident, knowledgeable, and empathetic global leaders for building a better tomorrow.
Dr. Sahoo, let me ask you, see, a lot has changed post-pandemic. There's a word called hybrid, blended, technology has come in. What has changed in your mind in terms of how you approach the whole learning process? What do you think are the changes needed for each of the stakeholders?
Right. I'll tell you. See, India has 325 million plus students, the highest in any country in the world. Among these, students in the age group of 0 to 4 are 10 million plus, and 3.5 million are above 30 years old. These numbers are a major factor that says India's market is huge by all means. Now, India's EdTech landscape majorly comprises of K-12 education, test preparation, upscaling, and technology providers. The landscape is not very different from the global landscape, but there are a few areas which makes it different. Now, Indian EdTech is also highly focused towards K-12 and test preparation in terms of funding, which is again less than 70%. The National Education Policy 2020 is expected to boast of the quality and scope of education in the country, giving an impetus for further growth to the EdTech sector. The resources for early learning are very thin, and a curriculum with a child-centered pedagogy is rare. Yet, only 10 to 15% of the funding is allocated towards early learning globally. And at SAI, we see an opportunity to build a global leader by co-creating experience and memories with children and parents. Now, our goal is to create a positive environment where every child feels at home, loves to explore his or her own potential through the milestones provided by the school. And, blended learning is the future of education, and it's here to stay. And at SAI International, we have quickly adapted to the digital learning platforms and ready to take it ahead. Now, going forward, blended learning will be a part of the new normal. Learning will shift from memorizing to understanding. More emphasis will be given to the 21st century skill development strategy. Teachers' education and training would be designed to improve the quality of education. Assessment also will be more on understanding than on rote learning. And some of such learnings will have to work on in the short term and on others over the long term. Thank you.
Dr. Sahoo, let me ask a question which is coming out from your answer. So, EduTech, again, is an add-on. It is not a replacement. It's an and. It is not an or with. What do you think is the role that, EdTech players have to play in this new education landscape with hybrid and with virtual and blended? And what do you think are areas where EduTech players can improve?
Right. Only 15% of Indian households have internet connectivity. Therefore, there is an urban and a rural divide. So EdTech should be used to bridge the digital divide between the urban and the rural learning. Now, EdTech has played a big part in giving digital access to education, but still a lot of work needs to be done to improve the digital infrastructure to make learning more accessible. The pandemic pushed almost 1.5 billion children out of education. At the same time, the pandemic has taught us to be more innovative and creative. We could understand very quickly that normalcy will take a bit of time. Online and virtual education will stay for long. Future is going to be blended learning, and as such, some percentage of virtual will become permanent. We were not sure of future, but we did not want to take chance with the future of our pioneers. Hence, we invested heavily into technology to develop Sai Cloud School and Sai Home School 1.0 and 2.0. And now we wish to take Sai Home School to other government and private schools who cannot afford developing such a platform. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Bhatt.
You are right that EduTech should bridge the gap, not enlarge the gap. And
Yes.
for the first few months of the Corona pandemic, I think while EduTech players' intent was to bridge the gap, but because of lack of access in government school, because of lack of tablets and devices, I think for momentarily there was a gap created. So I am sure you and your organization will bridge the gap. Back to you, Vasudha.
Thank you, Dr. Batra, and thank you, Dr. Sahoo. Now, if you don't mind me asking, you are in this position, you're co-founder, you're chairperson, you won the ARIA award last year in March 2020. Can you tell us a little bit about your professional and your educational journey that kind of led you to the position that you are in today?
Vasudha, Sai International was founded in 2008, but the journey started more than 10 years before that. From 1998 to 2008, Vijay and I visited at least 50 schools across 15 countries because we wanted to bring the best-in-class education to Odisha. Additionally, we did multiple courses from Harvard Graduate School of Education to get more global perspectives. So while for the world, Sai is only a 13-year-old institution, we have been working for this dream for 25 years. And finally, we founded Sai International with the philosophy that it will not just be a school, it is a center for human transformation. Thank you. Thank you, Vasudha.
If you don't mind me asking, can you tell me a little bit more, why was this, where did this dream of yours come from? What made you want to start this education institute?
See,
what was the inspiration?
Yeah. So actually, when Vijay and we started, we thought about making the school. It was we thought that, what we did not get in our childhood, our children did not, we just looked at our 3 children that, what is lacking in the schools, in their education, and why, why should they be deprived of the best of the education of the world. So what we did, we did years of research. We visited many schools in the country and across the world also. And we thought, what are the best practices in the world which actually should be implemented in any school. So that is how this thought of, starting a school and creating a school came into our minds. And then we conceptualized this, idea of building a school. And for us, Sai is not just an institution. It is, as I said, it is an institution of human transformation to make thought leaders of tomorrow.
Yeah, that's a lovely story. Actually, if you don't mind me asking, because you're talking about best practices, can you expand a little bit on that? What makes a practice good? How did you go about judging that? Was it looking at how the students were doing after education, maybe, or how they felt, speaking to maybe students themselves, speaking to teachers, parents? How did you kind of determine those aspects?
See, what happened, we thought that, we should connect with the students. We thought we should connect with the parents. We thought we should connect with the teachers. So that is how, what happened. We touched each and every child. We touched each and every parent. And we thought that, interaction with the students and interaction with the parents and having a platform where the parents are allowed to talk to us and feel free to talk to us, we should give them that platform. And as I said, Sai International, we have incorporated the timeless values of Guru Sishya Parampara. And we thought that, a true guru or a teacher disseminates knowledge and initiates the first step towards complete growth of body, mind, and soul. And the Guru is ready to adopt and adapt the contemporary ways of teaching. So at Sai, we focus on the holistic development of body, mind, and soul of the children. And this is how we thought that, just as the sun illumines every object with its brilliance and warmth, the Guru imparts knowledge to the students and inspires them to undertake the challenges in their lives.
It sounds like you were really focusing on that human connection, bringing that back into the school.
Yes.
And I can see that, because a lot of times when you have large number of classes, that can be very difficult for teachers. So is when you are hiring teachers, is that like one of your biggest processes? When you are setting up the school, is looking for the right
yes.
people?
Yeah. Because see, we have run the school not as a normal institution. Sai is run just like a corporate. It's run in a corporate style. So, and for Bijay and me, it was not a person-driven institution. It was always a person-driven institution. So we thought that if we make processes, the school will run. Whether we are there or not, the school will run on its own. And that is why... Sorry, Vasudha?
No, go ahead. Please go ahead.
No, and I'll tell you, we created structures to improve our school governance that are no different from multinational corporations. We have 3 committees that govern our school. A senior management committee, which consists of me and my 3 directors. And when Bijay was there, he was above all this. A senior leadership team, which consists of me and all my principals. And a general operating committee, which consists of all our functional heads. And this is why, we are the only NABED accredited school in the entire country.
Right. So, that's a very interesting way to kind of put it, because you never think about a school running like a corporate. So there's there's a place for everyone to go should they have any trouble, and there's always somebody to make sure that you are doing your job properly and that there aren't any issues, and those can absolutely be great things. When this pandemic did start, because you're talking so much about human connection, were you worried that switching online would kind of undermine the kind of principles that you build your institution on?
No, see, I'll tell you, we were very, very confident. In fact, when the government declared that March 24th, 2020, everything will be locked down and the schools will close, we were very confident that we immediately switched to, online teaching. Then this idea of Sai Cloud School and Sai Home School came to us that, we should have online teaching, online activities and online assessment for the students. So that is how we thought of, going ahead with this. And during this pandemic, actually, I'll tell you, we became closer to the students and the parents and the teachers also, because we had regular Zoom meetings with the teachers. We connected with the parents also regularly, and then we had multiple sessions with the teachers. We had our alumni talks where we selected alumni who can talk to the students and who can address to the students. And then we also had Chairman Speak series, exactly. So where, the chairman, he spoke to the students of different classes, different weeks, and also we had the town hall meetings where we could connect with the teachers.
So that's really excellent. We have these discussions every week, and one of the biggest concerns that teachers seem to have is that because of EdTech and because of online classes, that teachers, their jobs will become undermined or become obsolete in the future. Now, of course, a lot of people will always say that teachers will not disappear. But what are your thoughts on people who think that the teacher's job is going to disappear because of EdTech or online education?
No, you mean to say that the teacher's job is more?
It's like there's a concern that the teachers, their jobs will, kind of, become undermined because of online classes or ed tech companies. What is your response to claims like that?
Vasudha, teachers cannot be replaced no matter what. We know that, the future is again online learning, virtual education, blended learning, but teachers cannot be replaced. There is always a personal touch between the teacher and the child, the teacher and the student, which no matter what, no technology can bring about.
Thank you for saying that. It's just because that's a question that comes up a lot when we do these panels. I like having all of our experts kind of, reiterate this, and it's been the same response across the board. So thank you so much for joining in my little, responses to that. And I hope our audience can also hear that. And I hope that's not something that anyone in our audience is worried about. But if it was, you've heard it from Dr. Sahoo herself. So I hope that will ease your mind a little bit.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit, so you did move into this online system with relatively a lot of ease. And now we have this NAP 2020, which is also encouraging, hybrid blended learning, having 40, 60%. How has the NAP 2020, I'm not going to say influenced you, but maybe enabled your initiatives, because you were already doing those initiatives, it seems to me.
Right. Yeah.
So how has the program helped, I guess?
Yeah. The focus on NAP has been on 5 key areas. The first was greater attention to early childhood care and education. The second was reforms in school curricula and pedagogy. The third was better school governance. Then it was standard setting and accreditation. And last but not the least was greater focus on technology. Now, in all of the above, we have constantly tried to bring about new innovation and improve quality. Now, for childhood care and education, we run Sai Angan, as I was telling you earlier. That's the country's largest standalone kindergarten center. The learning in Sai Angan is completely based on multisensory development. We try and develop physical, emotional, social, and cognitive skills in our students right from the age of 2+. In terms of curriculum and pedagogy, we have been relentlessly working to bring in innovation and make it more practical based and experiential. In fact, since our inception, we have been working on the principles of experiential learning and 21st century learning skills. To improve our school governance, we have, as I said, we created these 3 structures. Then we have this NABIT also. And then recently we just won the School of Eminence Award with A++ rating. And in fact, we were...
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. And we were amongst the only 4 schools in India to get this rating. And finally, we are still ranked as the number 1 school in India by Education World India School rankings. And in respect to technology, as I was talking to you earlier, we have launched Sai Cloud School, the Lightboot technology, and Sai Home School.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit more about this cloud school?
Yeah.
That sounds really interesting.
Right. So, we use this Lightboot technology where, all the classes are recorded using this Lightboot concept, where the visual demonstrations and animations actually help, which the teachers do, actually help the children to comprehend each lesson. And these are done by the teachers. Now, Sai Cloud School is again, it's a blend of online teaching, online activities, online assessment, and everything was online. Apart from activities, every single extracurricular activity, starting from sports to music and art and dance, was provided virtually to the students. Now, this is all about Sai Cloud School. Now, if I talk about Sai Home School, again, the teachers recorded these lessons again on through this lightboard technology, and this is there in our server where the students can access to these lessons at their pace and from home, and even assessments also they were able to do it from their houses.
So that's amazing because like joining in real time can be very difficult for some students, for some teachers even. Connection, like you mentioned yourself, not everyone and not every household has internet connectivity or even electricity for that matter. Thank you for answering that. But now let me ask you, there's a lot of talk about, the 21st century skills. So first I would like to ask you, what are some of these skills that are needed for teachers now? Because our times have changed a lot. And what are the skills that are now needed that we need to teach students?
Right. As I was telling you, the teachers put great attention on the early childhood care and education. Now, it was the cognitive development, it was the holistic development of the children, the school curriculum, and the pedagogy. And then also focus on the, technology and innovation and multisensory development also. Now, in terms of curriculum and multisensory development, what we thought is we will have to work on the principles of experiential learning. And this actually helped us in the long-term intervention of providing quality education to the children, working on the mental and emotional well-being of the children. Now, then the holistic 360-degree development of the children, and then the parent and child connect.
There's a lot of like emotional development. And
yes. It was more on the creativity, collaboration, and critical thinking.
Absolutely. So things that we call soft skills, but of course are very, very difficult.
Yes. Things that we call the soft skills. Yes.
Like what about on the children's end? Also the teachers need to have these, need to be able to obviously impart these. But what are we hoping that the children will come up with? Obviously creative skills, critical skills. But is there any other skill that you feel like, because of 2020 or because of the pandemic that we absolutely need now?
We focus on the leadership skills and the communication skills too.
Of course. Yeah.
So that is why, because of this leadership skills, what we had the SAI alumni talks, where we invited the alumni to come and talk to the children. And we, gave this platform to the children to develop their leadership skill and the communication skill. And then we also have Sai Netritva, where we focus on the leadership and the communication skills. And this is done for every class and every section, where they are taken to a place where they spend 2 days and 1 night, and we focus on the leadership skills. And also we give them, the workshops on communication. We give them workshops on leadership, and also we focus on the internationalism, where we have exchange programs with schools across the world, with schools like UK, schools like US, schools in China, schools in Australia. So these are the various leadership and leadership skills actually, which we focus on.
All right. With schools reopening soon, how do you see? We all talk about blended learning, but what do you think that would look like when schools actually reopen?
We are actually looking at the schools reopening.
Yeah.
It's so difficult. That with schools closing, and there is no connect between the students and the children, the students and the teachers. So we should have, though we know that online education and blended learning will stay for now, but then that we have to see that there will be a differentiation between, we have to focus on digitally literate and digitally illiterate teachers as well as the students. And then, as I was saying, that we need to focus on the holistic development of the body, mind, and soul. And today, even as we go back to schools physically, as educationists, we are constantly thinking about how technology can be further used to personalize learnings to our students.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. And do you mind elaborating a little bit on like what steps you're taking right now to reopen schools?
Sorry, can you speak once again?
Yeah, I was asking what steps are you taking to prepare for reopening the schools?
Right. You see, we have already started schools from class 8 upwards to class 12. And we have, sanitization. We regularly sanitize the schools. Then we have thermometers, where we take the temperatures of the students. We maintain social distancing. Then we have not more than 15 to 20 children per class. And we insist on wearing the mask. We have support staff, where they wear PPE and they wear mask. And we have teachers also, compulsory teachers, they also wear mask. And then we have hostel students coming to the hostel. We have compulsory COVID, RT-PCR test. We make it compulsory. Unless you have this test compulsory, we will not allow you inside the school. And every week, we ask the teachers and the students to go for these kind of tests.
So there's like a lot of measures in place.
Yeah, and also we have an isolation center. If any child or any teacher or any staff has got some health problem, then immediately the child or the teacher is isolated. And then, because we have 24/7 nurses and doctors in the school, so anytime we have any problem, any health issue, then immediately the teacher or the staff is asked to stay in the isolation room.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Sahoo. I mean, you've kind of spelled out so beautifully, like the entire philosophy of Sci International, your own journey with it. I just want to ask you two more questions before wrapping this up. One of them is like, we've had a very long, almost 2 years. Can you tell me, what do you think that, like how has your perception changed on education with this, pandemic and distance learning?
See, I'll tell you, with distance learning, education has become more accessible. Now, a student from a remote location of India can now go for a course at Harvard. With the implementation of NEP, distance learning will play a major role in helping students with their education goals. With uncertainty over the pandemic, distance learning will continue to be a favored option for the students, because the cost factor and the easy accessibility will also play a big role for the growth of digital learning. But however, online learning can never replace offline learning. It will only augment the schools.
And especially for children and, during those first 12 years of your education.
Yes.
That human touch is absolutely important. So when are you guys planning on reopening the schools? Do you have a date set, or is there just...
No, we just depend on the government. The government has already allowed class 8 upwards to begin the schools, and we have already started. So we are just waiting for the rest of the classes to reopen, and everything depends on the state government. That we cannot...
Yeah. Absolutely. So let me just ask you my final question, which is similar to the last one, but it's more, you can answer it from a personal perspective or from a professional perspective, as a perspective that's up to you. But what are the biggest lessons that we can take away from this pandemic?
Right. See, Vasudha, in every crisis lies an opportunity, and crisis leads to innovation. The year 2020 was a year of learning, unlearning, and relearning. It was also a year of understanding and realizing the clarion call of nature and how, with determination and indomitable human spirit, we came back and combated the adversities of nature. Now, the biggest takeaway for the world from the pandemic is that it forced all of us to be tech savvy, whether it was education, it was financial services, healthcare, or even grocery delivery. Every single person was forced to adapt to technology. In education, it forced us to innovate and think about how technology can be an enabler for high quality learning. Now, today, even as we go back to schools physically, we have to again ensure how technology can be further used to personalize learning for our students, even though online teaching cannot replace offline teaching, but we don't have a choice. It has to be a blended learning. The future is blended learning, and more than anything, it has taught us resilience, how to fight tough challenges. This is what I think these are the biggest lessons that we have learned from pandemic.
Absolutely. It's definitely made us stop and rethink everything. It puts everything into perspective. And like you said in the very beginning, healthcare and education are absolutely the most important things we need going forward. And we've seen the problems that lack of education can have when there is a health crisis.
Yes.
Those two are absolutely linked together. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Sahoo, for coming and speaking with us today. We had a great turnout in the audiences, but no one seems to have any questions. So I think it's safe to wrap this up. And it is Choti Diwali, which I understand people want to go out and start celebrating. We were lucky that no patakas were here in the background. I don't know about you, but at least here there were no sounds so far. So happy Choti Diwali, and I hope you have a great Diwali and good luck with reopening schools and your hybrid learning, and you have so many different programs in place. I look forward to hearing about them more at BW Business World and covering them on our website. And if anyone wants to rewatch this, you can do so on BW Business World accounts on YouTube, on LinkedIn, on Facebook. It's going to be available also on our BW Education website if you want to go and listen to anything Dr. Sahoo has to say.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Vasudha, for inviting me here and then interacting with. I'm sure many young minds will be watching this show and this interview. And a very happy Choti Diwali and a very happy, prosperous and safe Diwali to the entire team of Business World. Thank you, Vasudha, and thank you, Dr. Batra.
Thank you.
Thank
and
you.
have a good evening.
Thank you, and namaskar.